like to call to order the meeting of Toledo Public Schools Board meeting, November 18th, 2025. And I'd like to do that to start with a moment of silence. I'd like to invite you to join me in a brief moment of silence in remembrance of the lives lost, forever changed by gun violence in our communities and across the nation. Let us honor their memory, stand in solidarity with those grieving, and reflect on our shared responsibility to build safer spaces for all. Thank you. Mr. Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Vasquez.
Here.
Ms. Barnes.
Present.
Mr. Parker. Here. Mrs. Gergen.
Here.
Mrs. Barwood.
Here.
Those who want to can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and it'll be recited by Mrs. Whitmer's 5th grade class at Beverly Elementary.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The mission and vision statement will be recited by 8th graders Corbin Wright of Beverly Elementary.
TPS is purpose-driven and future-focused. We provide innovative education opportunities that ensure each student is prepared for the future. We empower each and every student to lead and live a purpose-driven life.
All right. Next, I would like to request a motion to adopt the November 18th, 2025 board meeting agenda. So,
Second.
been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Vasquez.
Yes.
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Mrs. Gergen.
Yes.
Mrs. Barwood.
Yes.
Thank you. We have presentations, and for that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Pat Mason.
Good evening and thank you. It's my pleasure tonight to congratulate the retirees that we are honoring this evening. Denise D. Chandler, a CCSE teacher at Old Orchard. She's retiring with 29 years of service. Katie Dolman Schultz, she is the nurse over at Harvard Elementary, retiring with 28 years of service. Sindra K. Fenewald, CCSRE, or ER, at Spring, 31 years of service. Denise Kirk, Secretary at DeVilbiss, 26 years, 4 months of service. Sandy J. Panesi, Intervention Assessment Teacher at Spring, 35 years, 6 months of service. Kimberly A. Schroeder, Kindergarten Teacher at Sherman, 33 years of service. Lori A. Vasco, 2nd grade teacher at Spring, with 32 years of service. And last but not least, Jennifer Spores, Executive Director of Schools. She's retiring with 28 years of service. We will miss her very much. That's a total of 243 years of service to TPS.
Thank you. That's our only presentation tonight, too. Okay. Next on the agenda would be community comments, and this month we do not have anyone signed up for community comments. So section 4 is the organizational input, and I will at this time turn it over to our student representative, Malin Williams.
Hello, I'm Lynn Williams. I attend Scott High School. I'm a sophomore there. Some things that I am involved in at Scott High School is the student body government, the indoor track team, and their orchestra. As a student of Toledo Public Schools, my perspective on attendance there is that it plays a core role in a student's academic performance. That a student who is prepared on time will receive the knowledge that will prepare them for their future endeavors to achieve success. My future plans after leaving high school are very lofty. I dream to enroll into a prestigious college such as Harvard or Stanford. That I plan to major in medicine or fine arts. Thank you for this opportunity to be here.
Oh, thank you. We love having you here, and we always wish you the best. We really appreciate you being here. Next, I will turn it over to our Parent Congress representative, Ms. Joanna White, president of the Parent Teacher Organization of Jones Leadership Academy of Business and a member of TPS's Parent Leadership Board. Ms. White.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to sit in front of you this evening. My name is Joanne White, and I am the president of the Parent Teachers Organization at Jones Leadership Academy of Business, and now I am also the president of the Parent Teachers Organization at Elevate Stewart Academy for Girls. I am also on the district parent leader team, and I also just joined the wellness committee as a parent representative. So I'm doing my best to stay busy and to get the word out about how fabulous Toledo public schools are. I have some notes that we took and the things that we've been doing. Last month, Mrs. Harris, which is one of our parent leaders, she attended a get-to-know candidate night with the TPS students and staff. She and her grandchildren were featured in a Blade article about Head Start. That's awesome. That's our job. That's what we're supposed to be doing, right? We also have been focusing on student attendance. We reviewed schools who have challenges with attendance and discussed how to approach with support. So we have targeted 5 schools who we absolutely need the most help in TPS, and those are the schools who we're doing the attendance blitz with, actually getting out there in the mornings and meeting with the parents, celebrating those who get their students to school on time, then staying out there after the bell rings to introduce ourselves to those parents who couldn't get their students to school on time and find out what challenges they may have and how TPS can help. Also, we had a parent leader meeting at 4:30. Dr. Archer attended. She was our guest speaker, and she spoke about the great opportunities that our students have in the city of Toledo for the New Educator Academy at Scott Park campus, and who's currently accepting applications. Now, I can't sit here and not brag about Jones Leadership Academy of Business, because I do have some good news, which is new this year. New this year, every graduate from Jones Leadership Academy of Business will be graduating with their LLC. That is a really big deal, and we are excited about that. They will be graduating with something in their hand that they can use to make money now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next would be Tab, Mr. Milo Ramirez, and I don't see him here. So we'll move on to would be TFT, Mr. Dalton. I don't see him here as well. How about AFSCME, Mr. Dale Parker? Not here either. Okay. So that takes us to section 5, comments by the board, and I will ask Bishop Parker to comment first.
Thank you, Mr. President. To our Beverly students, I want to thank them for the pledge of allegiance and our mission and vision statement. I normally don't say anything personally about retirees, but I'm going to be very biased as it relates to Jennifer Spores. Okay, I'll look this way then. So, as a young parent of 3 children at Glenwood Elementary School, it was Jennifer Spores that pretty much ignited the love that I have for education and students. The words of encouragement that she gave me as the only man that would be at the PTO meetings, and really speaking and insisting and helping and giving me the excitement to want to be a part of helping students. So I want to take this moment, and I tell you this privately all the time, just thank you. My children are better because of your piece to the puzzle of their life. So, yeah, they don't play baseball, so yeah, nevertheless, just thank you so much for that. And to our student representative, Milo Williams, thank you so much for such an amazing job. And he is absolutely sharp tonight. I asked him about his shoe, what size it was. He said mine. So that meant I could not wear his shoes, but absolutely amazing. And Ms. White, thank you as always for your consistency. We have parents being that voice. We have student representation. We have parent representation. Would love to see more community representation during our board meetings so that we can really be a district that is informed all the way through. This week we went to the OSBA conference, and I just want to say that to Dr. Durant and to Ms. Berwig and Mr. Gann and those participating in the presentation. It's just evident that TPS really shines bright like a diamond when it comes to innovation and the things that we're doing as a district. It's just phenomenal what we are doing, continue to do, and hopefully many people will come and see the work that's being done by TPS on a daily basis. Finally, I want to talk about something that I see a lot on social media, and that is the Everyday Matters thing that is going on as it relates to the attendance that's going on in our schools. And we know that attendance is not just a number. Attendance is that opportunity, is that first step towards academic success. And so I say, and I believe that we cannot educate students properly if they are not in school. And so every classroom experience, every lesson, every day matters. I love that theme. But most importantly, for Ms. Brinkman to the team that is really making this happen, the social media posts that are going forward, really showing. And I want to highlight one of our schools that is really on fire. Rose Patterson Academy is doing a phenomenal job. I think they had the highest attendance rate in Q1 throughout the entire district. And even this month, I saw that from like November 3rd till the 14th, it's like 97% of their students in attendance wise. That's absolutely phenomenal. That among the other schools, it goes to show the parents and students are making education a priority in our homes. So I just want to say thank you again to everyone that plays a part in that, to our staff for making learning fun, making it engaging and meaningful. And when students want to be in the building, that's a reflection of the heart and the hard work inside the district. So it takes a village, and I'm grateful that our arts is really working towards making sure our students are doing what they need to do. Thank you for DPS Pride.
Thank you. Comments? This is Polly Taylor.
Thank you. I also want to appreciate our student and parent representation. It really does make our meeting to set the tone to hear from an active parent. Whenever we get to highlight and see one of our students shine at our table, it really sets the tone for our meeting and really reminds me of the why, right? The why we're here. I'm glad that you mentioned OSBA. We do always have fantastic presentations there. Every year, our teams have sometimes several presentations. So I'm not surprised to hear how well it went. This is one of the first times I have not been able to attend OSBA. I'm usually assigned to the delegate assembly where the school board association decides their platform, the things that they're going to advocate for or lobby for throughout the year. And that platform is designed by school board members around the state. So it's quite the democratic process where delegates are assigned according to different weights, sizes of districts, and so forth. But the point being that there was something that didn't make it through the delegate assembly, and my colleague sat through the 4 or 5 to 3 hours. I didn't because I wasn't there. That really troubles me when I think about the fact that perhaps the majority of school districts in Ohio are shying away from being able to state in uncertain terms their inclusive practices. My understanding is that instead of being able to spell out the equity platform in ways that mentioned the various marginalized groups, whether they be LGBTQ, racial, gender, gender identity, or your sex, that they chose to use the word all instead of spelling it out. And I get it that all sounds inclusive, but it actually, to me, obscures those specific challenges faced by various marginalized groups. The generic language, it fails to acknowledge the documented disparities. It's not enough to say all. We have to actually acknowledge and explicitly name and send a clear message that the students and staff, for that matter, of various marginalized or underrepresented groups are seen, valued, and protected. So the blanket terms like all, I think we run the risk of making invisible the actual disparities that exist. And that's why I think it's important to explicitly name the groups that we are committed to protecting. So I'm disappointed. I want to make sure that in our own efforts to come into compliance with various pressures around state and federal government around the notion of equity and inclusion, that we don't hide behind generic terms like all, and that we do our best in this district to be explicit about who we're protecting. And I think it gives me a bit of pause to think that school districts around Ohio are not willing to make those statements. And at some point, I think it's going to be important to think about our participation in a system that really doesn't represent our values. I know that we're about to talk about several bills in the Ohio legislature that are also not inclusive or run the risk of marginalizing groups, a couple of instances according to their religion, even. And so while we're fighting against these bills at the state level, our association that is supposed to represent us in mass isn't going to be permitted to fight against those bills when they name specific groups. So it's just something to think about as we move forward in these troubling times. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Comments, Ms. Barnes?
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I would like to say, Mr. Williams, Board Member Williams, you did an amazing job. And you mentioned something, so I'm going to take up space a little bit like I told you to. You mentioned you want to go to Harvard. And as now an alumni, I want to give you something from Harvard. I can guarantee you will have better grades than I did. So you will do amazing at any school, but I would love to hear back from you when you're at Harvard. I know all the cool eating places now. So, Ms. White, as always, I am just in awe of you. Just thank you for inspiring me to be a better parent, first of all, but a better school board member to stand up for our babies and make sure we have resources. Right now, that's going to be where the action is going to be needed. I think we're going to need grace and patience in the resources to get through all of this, to navigate through all of that. And I just applaud you for keep saying yes, but we gotta say no. No is powerful too. Remember that. But saying yes to just making sure things happen. And I clearly champion you, and I can't wait for you to tell me you're ready to run for school board, because I'm going to be right there on your team. I also want to take the time out to shout out to a couple of staff members, Dr. Baker, Dr. Heather Baker, her team got together at the last minute to say yes to after hour working to make sure that we delivered 2,000 food bags at Joan Leadership Academy of Business, Woodward High School, Oakdale Elementary, and Robinson Elementary. I want to say thank you to the principals and staff members at that school as well. They didn't even question. They stayed after, even got a couple of kids to volunteer, and it was amazing to see that our school stepped up and actually provided for the community. And let's be honest, some of our students that were volunteer, some of our staff that was volunteer, excuse me, was also in need. And yet they said, no, I'm here for the community. So thank you to everyone who showed up, who dragged the bag out of the box, or the bus drivers who delivered the boxes. Everybody did this and said yes. And because of that, we were able to give out 2,000 bags, food bags, thanks to the food bank donation. So I am really, truly inspired at the kids standing outside very coldly, passing out bags filled with cheer in their heart. I think at this time, I would want to urge the adults in this district, in this community who's watching, our leaders, to be careful of just trying to excuse the harm by gaslighting others who have been impacted by the harm. You cannot tell me how to put my house out, the fire out of my house if yours never burned down. If I'm saying my house is on fire, believe me, and you show up and say, how do I help you, versus telling me that this is okay. Right now, we have a lot of people saying this is okay. We're going to get through this, and things like that, and that's fine. There's a lot of people who are hurting right now, and I would urge adults and our leaders to stop gaslighting those who have seen the fire burn down their houses before. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Barwood?
Sure. So, first of all, I want to thank Beverly Elementary. It's always great when we have students who are able to participate in our meetings, even if it's virtually. So, thank you for the pledge and the mission of vision. I love that we're continuing to do that. Marilyn Williams, thank you for being here. It is a pleasure to have you. You're so well spoken, and I love that you are letting us know what your goals are. I can't wait to see what happens. Truly, we all want to know what you're going to do in the future. It's very bright. So I thank you for being here today. Ms. White, as always, thank you. I love that you're here, and I will also be in your campaign. Ms. Forrest, thank you for your years of service. It's hard to believe that this is your year. So, but truly, thank you for all the lives that you've touched in this district. We appreciate you. And certainly the rest of the retirees, 243 years is amazing. And so we couldn't do what we do without what our staff does daily out there in the community, in our schools, and with our students for sure. And then also, thank you, Bishop, for bringing attention to the social media posts about student attendance. And thanks to the communications team and Ms. Brendan for your team, what they're doing to bring awareness around it. Ms. White, you as well. It really is making a difference, and we truly appreciate it. And I also just want to send a shout out to all of the staff across the district that participated in the My Vote, My Voice Matters. Civic education is near and dear to my heart, and so it was really great to see all of the different aspects that, brought to light the importance of that voice. So I'm so appreciative of that, and certainly thanks to Marshall Scum for inviting me out to read a book on voting, so I appreciate that, but we need to do so much more of that. That's all, thank you.
Thank you. The worst thing about being president is you always have the last comments. And usually most people have made comments that reflect what I want to say. But one of the things I do want to talk about, first of all, I want to thank Ms. Greenman again for making sure that we had students and parent representatives. I've been on this board over a decade, and it's always been difficult. And you have helped to consistently make sure we have representatives of the horseshoe here. So I want you to know I appreciate that. Also, I want to shout out to Ms. Morris. We always cross paths, usually pretty busy, flitting here and flitting there, and only having a short time to talk and smile and make a few comments because you're always so busy. So we'll miss you a lot because we've crossed paths so many times getting the work of the district done. I think that the other thing is that I understand how the comments from my fellow board members, and just want to say something about, because we recognize the environment that we're working in does not mean that we agree with the people who, not seemingly, but do have the power right now. And so I don't ever want anybody to think that because I'm a part of any association or even part of this board as being the tacit approval of things that are going on around the state and for that matter around the country. And I say that because I'm able to recognize who's in power, and I'm not saying we should just roll for who's in power, but I do feel a sense of responsibility, at least on the board here, to make sure that our students get the resources that they need, and that I do whatever it is that I need to do, and even as painful as it is sometimes. So I don't ever want anybody to think that I contest what's going on. That's one thing. And then the other thing is that I want to point out that we did some hard work while we were down in Columbus. Myself, Ms. Farwig, Mr. Steck-Schulte, we went and talked to some of those state legislators who don't agree with our viewpoints. And we felt that it was necessary to do that. That's hard work too. To talk to people who you know, as soon as you get as you go through the door, are not going to agree and are not going to hear what it is that we have to say. But we knocked off, about 4 of them, one right after the other. It's difficult and it's frustrating, but it's absolutely necessary because we want them to hear what we have to say. We're trying to make a difference. It was, to say the least, it was exhausting. The last thing I want to say is a very technical thing, and this is for Mr. Steck-Schulte and Dr. Grant. Is there anything we can do about the structure of the horseshoe? Because I want to look at Ms. White and I want to look at Mr. Williams, and sometimes I even want to look at Mr. Parker. But I can't see any of them from here. And I also can't see Mr. Gant when he's down there. So is there any way we could take it and move it this way? Because I also know in a couple months I'll sit down there where Rich Parker is, and nobody's going to see me either. Maybe it's that by design. But maybe that's why we called it a horseshoe at the last place, because we were. Do you think there's something we can do about that? All right. And I'm serious. It's hard to be engaging when you look down this way, you look down that way, and you go to see the person that's next to you. And move it to see who's talking. So. Now see, if it was Ms. Gerken, she would have us in a working mode in a square. But, so we'll just up for the horseshoe. Thank you. Section 6 is the next section, and that consists of the consent agenda. Items 6.01 through 6.40 are the consent agenda items. Board members may request to pull an item from the consent and move to the discussion section of the agenda if they wish. So, having said that, items 6.01 through 6.05 are the Human Resources, Staff Development, and Training Committee, and the chair is Polly Taylor-Kirkin, and the co-chair is Randall Parker, the third. Items 6.6 through 6.15 are Finance and Business Operations Committee, chair Bob Vasquez, co-chair Randall Parker, the third. Item 6.16 is the Workforce Development and Partnership Committee. There are no action items this month. Chair Chris Barwig, co-chair Bob Vasquez. Item 6.17 is the Board Curriculum, Instruction, and Academic Excellence Committee. There was no meeting this month, but the chair is Polly Taylor-Kirkin and co-chair Chris Barwig. Item 6.18 through 6.35 is the Policy Committee. You can see we did a lot of work there. Chair Bob Vasquez, co-chair Sheena Barnes. Item 6.36 is the Arts, Athletics, and Student Activities Committee. There was no meeting this month, but the chair is Chris Barwick, co-chair Randall Parker III. Item 6.37 through 6.38 is the Family and Community Engagement Committee, chair Sheena Barnes, co-chair Bob Vasquez. Items 6.39 through 6.40 is the approval of board meeting minutes. I would like to request a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Vasquez.
Yes.
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Mr. Barker. Yes. Mrs. Gerken.
Yes.
Mrs. Barber.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Steck-Schulte. Section 7 of the agenda consists of reports and minutes from this month's committee meetings and are here for information and reference. No action is required, so we can proceed to Section 8 of the agenda. Section 8 are the discussion items. 8.01 is the November 18th, 2025 instruction section. I'd like to request a motion to approve the November 18th, 2025 instructional section.
So moved.
I'll second. Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Vasquez.
Yes.
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Abstain.
Mrs. Gerken.
Yes.
Mrs. Barber.
Abstain.
8.02 is a resolution opposing Ohio House Bill 485, also called the Baby Olivia Act. I would like to request a motion to approve the resolution opposing Ohio House Bill 485.
So moved.
Second. Been moved second. Discussion. Wait, please read it.
All right, whereas House Bill 485 proposes to mandate human growth and development instruction for grades 3 through 12 in Ohio public schools, including the showing of the Meet Baby Olivia video, and whereas the Meet Baby Olivia video has been confirmed to be a computer-generated and produced by a faith-driven advocacy organization deeply connected to religious ideology rather than an independent scientific body. And whereas leading medical authorities, including the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, have determined that the video contains scientifically inaccurate information regarding fetal development timelines, viability, and other critical aspects of human growth. And Whereas these inaccuracies risk misleading students and substituting ideology for evidence-based education, thereby undermining the integrity of health curricula. And whereas educational standards should prioritize medically accurate, peer-reviewed, and unbiased instructional materials to ensure students receive fact-based information. And whereas requiring students as young as third grade to view graphic or ideologically driven depictions of fetal development could have a traumatic or emotionally distressing effect on some students, particularly those who have experienced pregnancy loss, family trauma, or related sensitive circumstances. And whereas HB 485 fails to provide adequate safeguards, opt-out provisions, or mental health supports for students who may be adversely impacted by the mandated content, thereby placing undue emotional burden on vulnerable populations. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Toledo City School District, the Board, that Section 1, the Board opposes House Bill 485 and urges that all science and health instructional materials required to be taught to Ohio students be vetted by independent, peer-reviewed scientific authorities to ensure accuracy, neutrality, and compliance with established health education standards. Section 2, the Board states that requiring students to view inaccurate and potentially traumatizing content to further the ideology of certain interest groups has no place in public education. Section 3, this resolution shall be in full force and effect from and immediately after its adoption. It is found and determined that all formal actions of this board relating to this resolution were taken in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Thank you, Mrs. Bartlett. We've moved this, so now it's time for discussion. Anyone want to discuss this? Oh, Ms. Kirsch.
It's just never ending, this assault on public education and the assault on teaching the truth. In this case, mentioning that what they're forcing us to show third graders is not only faith-driven, but scientifically inaccurate. I feel like we're spinning our wheels, and I'm glad that we're exercising our voice and letting people know that we as a school board, where school education decisions are supposed to be locally held, do not support this. I do have a question that probably can't be answered now, maybe between legal and the policy committee, if this does eventually pass, the notion that there is no opt-out provision when every other aspect of our curriculum and our own policies do have opt-out provisions. And in fact, the state and every other aspect of our curriculum forces us to have opt-out provisions for some of the most simple things that we may be teaching, and yet they have expressly left out opt-out provision in this bill. So it's something that hopefully we can at least extend an opt-out provision in our own policies in some kind of way. I don't know how that even works, that they can continue to trump the local control in so many ways. But this business of a faith-driven and scientifically inaccurate video that we're supposed to show is quite frankly disgusting.
Other comments? Anyone?
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So what I say now, I'm going to say about the other three resolutions that's coming after this, that this is really just a delusional perception of political bullying. All of these bills are bullying tactics that force a mindset that doesn't model democracy. I am about as religious as they come. And I am disgusted at the way that they are forcing this perception of what I am a believer of. And so, we sit here at our board meetings and we express our displeasure And it's pretty much just preaching to the choir. Because I really wish that maybe the one or two people that watch the board meeting would share with other people the information of what's going on and what's happening. Because again, this is the whole, liberty and justice, but it's not really justice. It's just us, the good old boys, and their perception of what they do. So, absolutely frustrated. And with every resolution that comes after this, my statement would be the previous statement that I said. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Ms. Barnes.
I just want to point out the hypocrisy in bills like this. So over the past, 2-3 years, it's been like an extreme removal of books based on different topics. And one of those topics that the books got banned for, I'm going to paraphrase, but like my body, like meet my body or my body. It's about 3rd to 5th grade. It's talking about body parts and naming them, and actually, so the student can say, this person touched me here. So we won't say pocketbook and cuckoo. We actually have the medical terms. And as someone who worked in sexual assault as an outreach worker, that is what should be taught to especially younger children, because oftentimes abuse is not caught because they use nicknames for body parts. Now, this book that was literally teaching young children, hey, this is my armpit, this is the thing you all, go through the medical terms of your body parts, is removed because it was too gross. And I want to say, they said it's explicit for them. But seeing a fake video, and I don't know who have seen, if you drive by any abortion clinic, they have the pictures that they're going to show our 3rd graders. Very graphic, disgusting pictures that are not real. And then also doubling down again the hypocrisy, right? They say, oh, this is to protect our kids and all this stuff, but they're trying to literally be okay with having 14-year-olds get married. So how can you say this is for protecting kids? We're showing them this fake video, taking away them talking about their body parts so they can protect themselves, or at least have adults protect them if they are getting abused. Don't talk about contraceptives, so they wouldn't even need an abortion if they haven't protected sex. Hello. And then go, well, you can get married if this older guy wants to, and your parents approve at 14. This is going back to a time that women had no ownership of their bodies, and let's just be honest, females had no ownership of their bodies. If we're showing this to 3rd graders, what type of life they will have by the time they get 15? They have never heard of contraceptives. They never heard about a pregnancy plan, or even talk to people about their body parts. I'm telling you, these type of things will only increase abuse against young women. I have worked in Toledo for the past, I've been here 18 years. 10 years I've been in sexual assault. Literally, this is what's going to increase it if we are showing fake videos, not naming body parts, and then saying, hey, if I like you, your parent says, yes, I can marry you at 14. It's disgusting.
Thank you. Ms. Barber.
I think the resolution speaks for itself, and my colleagues did a great job giving their input. So I would agree with that.
Okay. My comments are a couple of things. Number one is the opt-out part of that, and how it affects policy. As chairman of the policy committee, I'm going to ask for, make sure we have legal, we always have legal and policy, and we take that up. I'm not sure, not a lawyer, so I don't know. So we'll take that. We will. That's a good suggestion. We'll take that up as policy. The other thing is that I agree with Bishop Parker. I don't feel the need to comment on all 3 of these bills that we disagree with. I'm sure there's some nuances, but one of the things I'm glad for is the different representation we have on the board, because we do have people who have made it their life's work, people favorite, and all of us represent different aspects of our community, of society, and of thought. And on these things, we are of the same thought. So Just want to point that out. I guess this is also another, regarding all three of these, again, I don't know why we feel like we're just the lone voice in the woods when these things come up. It's very frustrating. So that's all I'm going to say. So we have the vote. Mr. Sexual?
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken,
Yes.
and Mrs. Barkley.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Sexual. All right, section 8.03 is a resolution opposing House Bill 486, also known as the Charlie Kirk American Heritage Act, and we'll need that resolution this time.
Thank you for reading the title because I don't really feel like I'm reading that name. Whereas the Board of Education of the Toledo City School District, the board, is committed to providing a history curriculum that is inclusive, accurate, and reflective of the diverse influences that have shaped American society. And whereas House Bill 486 proposes to allow instruction on the influence of Christianity on American history and culture in public schools. And whereas HB 486 risks favoring one religious perspective over others, potentially undermining the principles of religious neutrality and inclusivity in public education. And whereas the board believes that history instruction should be comprehensive and balanced, recognizing the contributions of many cultures, religions, and philosophies to American development. And whereas HB 486 could set a precedent for the promotion of religious doctrine in public school curricula, contrary to the constitutional separation of church and state. Therefore, be resolved by the board that Section 1, the board stands opposed to HB 486 and any legislation that would promote instruction of a particular religion in public schools. Section 2, the board reaffirms its commitment to providing an inclusive, balanced history education that reflects the diverse influences throughout our society. In Section 3, this resolution shall be in full force and effect from and immediately after its adoption. It is found and determined that all formal actions of this board relating to this resolution were taken in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code.
So, have a motion and a second. Shall we have? Ask for a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second. That's been moved and second. Discussion.
Okay, I'll point out the hypocrisy again. So we kind of already had this type of teaching in America education before. If you're not familiar, this is where we said that the Pilgrims really welcomed the indigenous people when they all had Thanksgiving. Then we found out, 25 years later, that was not accurate. I wonder why, because once again, whoever is telling the story is going to write history, and we know that's not going to be false. Also, right now, we have a version of this happening in Florida under Craig Review, where they're saying that, enslaved African Americans actually benefited from slavery, which was another one. Christopher Columbus was a wonderful guy. I love that part. So we already have versions of this kind of, and I would hate to say Christian because I have family members and friends who are Christians, and to use that to lie, to increase hate. Under these types of education platforms, I would say myself as an African American descendant of enslaved people are 3/5 of a vote. I'm invisible. As a Black queer woman, I am not even able to hopefully be able to vote. God forbid have kids. We have seen this type of harm and hate and lies before in our education system, and we're just now unlearning that. I literally tell people all the time, I played a pilgrim in a Christopher Columbus play when I was in 4th grade, and I had it on VCR. for those who are younger, it's an old school DVD, and it was acceptable. We cannot go back to that. So I would gladly oppose this.
Any other comments?
Well, really, it's just, the same refrain that we have when we talk about opposing public dollars for mostly religious schools and the whole argument about supposedly separation of church and state, but promoting any particular religious doctrine is where I think we need to draw the line. Of course, the history of so many faiths across the world and across time have an impact on history, whether it's American history or world history, and it's fascinating. It's so interesting, and I want our students to be curious about all of them. And so to the extent that it's appropriate in sort of K-12 social studies, we need to be planting the seeds that all faiths and all religions and belief systems are to be celebrated and understood and investigated. And there are opportunities to have elective social studies courses of a particular faith. If we wanted to have a course of Bible as literature, we could certainly offer that course. But to actually single out Christianity as something that we're permitted, and it does say permitted, at least this one doesn't say we're forced, but would we, on the other hand, be permitted to single out another faith and highlight it in our everyday teachings in our classrooms? And so that's what concerns me, that we need to leave religious instruction out, other than in a context that allows any and all religions to be highlighted or studied, and to pique the curiosity about all of the different faiths that the world has seen.
Thank you, Ms. Kirby. Any other discussion on this? See previous statement. Ms. Mauer.
I would just say that, again, I find, as with all of these, the resolution speaks for itself. I would just say the state continues to overreach and take away the local control component. And that really, to me, is something we need to focus on, is that local control. We should not be singling out one religion over another. And unfortunately, this is the mode of operation. And while I think it says permit, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So once this would pass, then what's the next, right? We already know their MO and what they do down at the State House. So I will be opposing this one.
Thank you. My only comment is that I just unbelievable to me. This is where we're at. Hearing no other discussion. Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Vasquez?
Yes.
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mrs. Griffin?
Yes.
And Mrs. Barber?
Yes.
Thank you. Section 8.04, resolution of opposing Ohio House Bill 531, School Chaplain Act, and that will be read by Mr. Parker, Bishop Parker. Oh, sorry.
Resolution opposing Ohio House Bill 531 School Chaplain Act. Whereas the Board of Education of the Toledo School District, the board, is committed to providing equitable access to quality support services for all students delivered by trained professionals who adhere to established standards of care. And whereas Ohio House Bill 531 proposes to permit public schools to engage volunteer chaplains to provide support services alongside school counselors. And whereas House Bill 531 would allow chaplains endorsed by religious authorities to serve in schools, raising concerns about the separation of church and state and the potential for religious influence in public education. And whereas the board believes that student support services should be provided by licensed professionals who are trained to address the diverse needs of all students, regardless of religious background. And whereas HB 531 could undermine the neutrality of public schools and risk alienating students and families who do not share the religious beliefs of volunteer chaplains. Now therefore be it resolved by the board that the board stands opposed to HB 531 and any legislation that would permit religious chaplains to serve in public schools in a manner that could compromise the separation of church and state. The board reaffirms its commitment to providing high-quality support services to all students with emphasis on what is best for students. And finally, this resolution shall be in full force and effect from and immediately after its adoption. It is found and determined that all formal actions of this board relating to this resolution were taken in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Thank you. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Been moved and seconded. Discussion.
See previous statement.
Ms. Durkin.
I mean, the obvious points about separation of church and state and keeping specific religious influences out of our schools. But I mean, on the face, this sounds like, oh, what harm could that be? Having all these fine religious leaders and people who are willing, who are all good people, right? Good people. And it doesn't necessarily say that these chaplains have to be Christian. So I would love it if we were forced to do this, that we made sure we line up the imams and the Wiccans to do the chaplaincies in our districts. But I mean, I say it sounds good, right? Like, how could we not want these good people helping our students? But the devil is in the detail, right? And so not every student, I mean, I imagine a student going home of a different faith than whoever this chaplain happens to be, who's assigned, and they're going to be shamed in some way, or somehow they think that their family is not okay, or I just can't imagine how it's appropriate in a public school. If you want to be led by a particular religion, then go to a religious school.
Other comments?
Thank you, President. If you ever want to see insanity, let someone who never worked in education create bills about education or for education, because they say alongside school counselors, guess what? If you wasn't cutting our funds, we can get more school counselors if you care about our students' mental health. We can actually get therapists in our school. We wasn't continuously giving funding to private institutions through our vouchers. That's cost us $1 billion in Ohio, I think, roughly. So you're taking away the money that you're giving the solution to now give chaplains to us to volunteer. Not saying how much education background they may have. Have they ever interacted with someone with a disability? Do they know tactics to de-escalate? Things that our school counselors and our educators had to go to school for, pay for years, and continue to get accreditations every year. Now you can just go online and become a chaplain and come to our school and volunteer. There's no guidelines to protecting our district, our students, from someone who's want to put on a robe. You heard that comment before for something else. I'm not going to get into that. But if they wanted to act harm our kids, they can just put on a robe and say they're a chaplain now. That's the kind of ideology you have about another issue when it comes to protecting kids. So there's no guidelines to what that person may have to come into our schools. There's no mention of who's going to be providing the background checks for these people. And there's no type of way to follow if this person does violate one of our policies. Will keep them from going to the next school district and continuing that harm as well. So once again, insanity of someone saying this is a good thing who have never talked to our school counselors to ask how can they help.
Thank you. Any other comment?
So, again, these are all of these resolutions tonight. Um, it's foolishness. And just the culture war that the State House continues to push out. It makes me sad, it makes me ashamed of our State House because they're supposed to be folks that we look up to that are supposed to work with us and collaborate with us and invest in us. And that's not happening. It is a top-down approach. These are all being voted on this week. And whether it's the House or the Senate, which is why we're rushing to do this tonight. There's so many other bills. We're over 200 bills now that will impact public education. These are just a drop in the bucket. We chose these tonight because they are being voted on either today or tomorrow. That's all.
My only comments are the irony of you always heard from these folks who are writing these bills that parents should be the ones who are involved with their children, students in our schools. And they are interjecting themselves into all these different areas that they previously said should be reserved for parents. I just find that extremely ironic. That's my only comment. Yeah, thank you. Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Vasquez.
Yes.
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken.
Yes.
Mrs. Barkley.
Yes.
Okay. Next is 8.05, which is a resolution opposing the Ohio Senate Bill 34, the Historical Education Displays Act, and that will be read by Bishop Parker.
Resolution opposing Ohio Senate Bill 34, Historical Education Displays Act. Whereas Ohio Senate Bill 34, the Historical Educational Displays Act, will require all Ohio public school classrooms to display at least one historical document from a designated list, including the Ten Commandments by July 1, 2026, and whereas the Board of Education of the Toledo City School District Board recognizes the importance of teaching history and civics in a manner that is inclusive, constitutionally sound, and respectful of the diverse beliefs and backgrounds of all students, staff, and families, and whereas as Senate Bill 34 raises significant constitutional concerns, particularly regarding the inclusion of the Ten Commandments, which legal analysts and president, including the Supreme Court decision Stone versus Brown, 1980, found to violate the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment by promoting a specific religious doctrine in public schools. Whereas schools do not need Senate Bill 34 to display historical documents in their classroom or on their grounds. Whereas the board affirms its commitment to upholding the separation of church and state, ensuring that public education remains free from religious endorsement, religion, and fostering an environment where all students feel respected and included regardless of their faith or beliefs. And whereas the board believes that curriculum and classroom display should be determined by board policy, not mandated by legislation that risks legal challenges, so, divisiveness, and the diversion of resources for educational priorities. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Toledo City School District that Section 1, the board strongly opposes Senate Bill 34 and urges the Ohio General Assembly to reconsider and reject any legislation that mandates the display of religious documents in public school classrooms. Schools should not be homes in larger cultural groups. Section 2, the board reaffirms commitment to constitutional principles, inclusive education, and the protection of student rights. In Section 3, this resolution shall be in full force and effect from immediately after its adoption. It's found and determined that all former actions of this board relating to this resolution was taken in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Thank you.
Vote adoption.
Yes. Yeah, so you made a motion to approve the resolution opposing. Is there a second? Been moved and second. Discussion.
So I definitely want to continue with my previous statement with the amendment. Putting documents on the display that they have yet to receive in their hearts is crazy word. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just, it's a broken record, and it's interesting that these four bills packaged together is our march towards theocracy in this country, and it's quite disturbing. And, one more irony I would point out is I'm pretty sure we spent more time on these resolutions than we did the business of the board today, which I think is important, and I think it's important that we spend time discussing it and putting it out there on why it's so ridiculous and demonstrating the continual assault on public education. Like Ms. Farley said, there are 200 such bills that are aimed at dismantling public education as we know it. So here we are again, spending time fighting against our state, more time than addressing the real concerns of our district right now because of what the state has done to us.
Ms. Barnes.
Thank you, Mr. President. The hypocrisy. So we are not really allowed to talk about chattel slavery, genocide of indigenous tribes, historical events that happened that led us to what America is. In certain states, I'm pretty sure Ohio is going to adopt, just like their big brother and big sister in Florida and Indiana and New York or Texas, they all thrown together right now, where we can't talk about, the people that they tell us to act like Martin Luther King Jr. We can't talk about, Rosa Parks. But we're going to go ahead and put the 10 Commandments up. And Board Member Parker, I'm going to need you for this because I missed a couple of Sunday schools. But if I'm not mistaken, Matthew 25:35. Okay, all right. Yeah, it's still in me. My grandma went to Baptist school. Okay. It says, "For I was hungry and you gave me something to eat." And if you don't know that passage, it goes on to say, "For I was thirsty," and then it's talking about what we right now in Ohio, our students, like I said, I just had supported our district giving out 2,000 food bags because when we could have fed them, when we could have provided the SNAP funding, the same people who are making these resolutions could have voted to actually pay for them to receive their SNAP benefits. We're talking right now, I want to say either yesterday or today, the funding for our folks who are experiencing homelessness, and the homelessness board just announced that they're losing their funding. So they want to put something up, and just like Board Member Parker said, they want to put something that's not in their heart. So what are they doing it for? What control technique? If they're not actually going out and feeding people, clothing people, and housing those who are housing insecure, what are they putting it up for? And they don't respect or love thy neighbor because they're trying to literally sentence a lot of us to death by pulling our Medicaid and our health insurance. So once again, the hypocrisy of do what I do what I say and not what I do. Also, something that I wanted to point out: all these bills have something combined. The theme is control. And if you ever want to control a nation, you start by controlling K-12 education. This is very dangerous. This is not Christianity. I know a lot of Christians. I love a lot of Christians. I think they love me too. Okay. So, sometimes I make them mad. But this is not Christianity, and this is really wrapped up in a pretty bow, but it's still white supremacy at the end of the day. I'm going to name it. We got to start naming it. All these bills tied to control of people, how they act, how they move, how we educate is all part of white supremacy, even if it's the part of the patriarchy or racial injustice, discrimination, bigotry as far as class warfare. All of it is white supremacy. And until we start calling it out and stop being nice with these people and really saying what it is, they're going to continue to control the nation by controlling K-12 education.
Thank you.
My only comment is again, it's overreach. And we're gonna continue to fight back on these bills. It's almost, it almost makes you speechless. The bills that are being brought forward. And again, these are only 4 of over 200. We didn't even get to property tax bills that are being voted on tomorrow. We have opposed some of those bills already in the past. But again, there are bigger and more important things than the culture war that they are trying to shove on K-12 education. That's it.
Thank you. I think my only additional comment is, I'm trying to say it right, is that previously the people who are doing this, bringing this bill forward, are the same people who said that they did not want schools to insert themselves into the lives of our families unless it's what they want to have inserted into their homes. But I want people to take special note of that. So when they say that and use that term again, that's what they mean. They don't mean they don't want people inserted. They don't want anybody to insert themselves into people's lives unless it's what they want inserted. Okay, so that people need to understand that. So seeing no further discussion, Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Vasquez.
Yes.
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken.
Yes.
Mrs. Barwin.
Yes.
That takes us to section 9, walk-ins. Are there any 9.01 walk-ins? Any walk-ins? No walk-ins. Okay. Then it takes us to section 10, early childhood education action items. Are there any? No items. Okay. Section 11, early childhood education reports. There was no meeting this month, so I'm assuming there's nothing to report. Okay. Are there any early childhood education walk-ins? None. Thank you, Mr. Cole. That would take us to executive session. Do we have a need for an executive session? Anyone? No? Okay, no need for executive session. So that would take us down to section 14, comments by the superintendent.
Just a few items. Again, we had a great media thing on the ambulance simulation. If you haven't a chance to see it or get a chance to stop over there to go to the location, great piece of education kids are learning. We have some rock stars in the district at Hawkins STEM Academy. We had 2 students here in the movie, Levi and Asher. We're both highlighting the movie. It's Ohio Wild at Heart. They're part of the Birder Club. So they seek out and look for birds, and they're part of the club that travels. And so they were paid a stipend to be in the movie. So we were all proud, and Hawkins took their entire school there to do the premiere of the movie. So excited about that. And we also have another graduate of TPS. His name is Mark Curry, graduated Wade High School class of 86. His movie's out called Smashing Machine. The Rock Johnson plays his role and has wanted to play his role for many years. But he was first and one of the latest state champions of wrestling to come out of TPS, along with NCAA champion and one of the very first UFC heavyweight champions of the world. So great documentary on him, and kudos to him. But again, all things to be TPS proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. Mr. Sexual, do you have comments?
No comments.
None? Yeah. All right. That takes us to comments by the board. Additional comments.
So next week is Thanksgiving break for TPS. So we hope that with all that's going on, the challenges, the way that we feel, all of us have something to be thankful for. Let's embrace that. Thank you.
Thank you. Listen. Very good.
we have lots of challenges ahead of us, and we haven't really started to address them yet this month. I do know that notifications have gone out about the need to suspend Head Start and some early childhood services. Do we have an update on that, Mr. Special, on funding or date for that funding yet?
Date on the evening.
We got, no, to answer your question, we did talk to Head Start, and they said that they're hoping to get us something by next Wednesday. We're also hopeful that we may have something that is enough for us to proceed hopefully by Friday, but there has not been any definite information provided to us in terms of the date of morning interview.
And so I imagine that we'll need some updates on any progress with our labor unions, our bargaining unit leadership on how we would have to proceed if that funding doesn't make it in time, or what's the drop dead date for the funding making it, and we would not have to start any of the displacement procedures.
That's at the month, so November 30th.
So as long as we have a check in the mail by November 30th?
No, if we have something official saying that we're going to get funded and it's funded in full, we'll be able to proceed.
We would not need to proceed with.
Yeah, we would not need to proceed.
Okay, and so behind that, we have even more challenges and more things that we're going to have to be talking about in terms of funding and cuts and so forth, and everybody is, aware that the pain points are yet in front of us. And I want to say that it's times like these where the community's trust in how we're going to solve some of these challenges and come out on the other side for the district we're meant to be is going to be important. And Dr. Durant, you are the face of the district, and you're the one that the community trusts. We, as board members, we hope the community trusts our decisions and the things that we have to move for here on this dais. But what they really want to hear from is their superintendent when it comes to how we're going to proceed. So I appreciate that you're starting to take on some of those communications, and I think it's going to be important that you that you take on that role of, even with the bad news that's coming, the community is going to be able to give us the grace and the time we need to sort it out when they hear it from you, because you're the one that has built up the relationships and the trust in the community, which we appreciate in good times. And we're going to need your same ability to keep that trust going in the bad times to come as well. So I just want to make that request. Thank you.
Before we move on to Ms. Marks, I want to just comment and let you know that myself, Ms. Barwick, President, Vice President, and Mr. Gann, Mr. Sexualty, and Dr. Durant have been all over the Head Start and contacting people, and also our labor leaders. We've been trying to get to move, try to get us notice so we don't have to do some of the things that we have in the future. Just like
It would have been helpful to have an executive session to talk about those negotiations, but since we didn't, we'll talk about them to the extent possible right here, right now. I appreciate that update.
Yeah, and basically the update is we're talking, hey, we need something to allow us to move it. Ms. Martin?
Thank you, Mr. President. To keep on the theme with the legislators talking about Christianity, although I do not identify with Christian, I'm going to put that out there. My quote for you to go home with and sit in your heart: selective justice isn't justice, it's self-righteousness. God calls for both justice and righteousness, not one or the other. Good night.
Ms. Barwick?
Nothing further.
We're kind of all talked out, I think, and my only comments are like Bishop Parker said, I hope everybody has a nice Thanksgiving. But I did want to share a little well, still a call. So that's where we live. So, I want to share a story with you, and that is that when we were down in Columbus, and Ms. Barwick and Mr. Sexualty and I were going through the, I think it was the Reichman at that time, where the many of the legislators are. I was wearing my TPS pin, and we had to go through the magnetic screening, through the point of entry there. There's a couple of highway patrolmen with full uniforms on, and they let everybody else through and stopped me and said, "What's your name?" So, this is strange. I have nobody else's name. And so I told him, and he said, what does that pin stand for on your coat? And I said, Toledo Public Schools. And he said, that's what I thought. And he said, I'm a Wake graduate. And he said, I just wanted to say hello and good to see you and thank you. And I just, and I share that. And we had a chuckle out of it because, TPS is far and wide. There's this highway patrolman with that nice uniform and that hat on, where I was a little bit in fear. He smiled at me and welcomed me to the State House. So, Dr. Durant, the rest of the board, and the audience, be proud. We have graduates all over, I'm sure all over the world, all over the United States, and certainly in Ohio. So with that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Been moved, seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mr. Parker, yes, Mrs. Griffin,
Yes.
Mrs. Barber.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.